Hey everybody, I'm Francesca Maxime. This is WiseGirl. Thanks for joining me again. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about another word play, if you will, vulnerable versus venerable. Vulnerable and venerable. So why would I want to talk about venerable? We usually hear that word in relation to a judge, someone perhaps sitting on the bench with a gavel and a black robe, dictating someone's fate, hopefully somebody who has character and wisdom and is fair and metes out justice. But that's not what I'm talking about exactly, although some of those qualities are applicable. I'm talking about sort of an inner state of venerability, which is not the same, of course, as vulnerability. Now, when we often think of ourselves, one of the things that we tend to consciously or unconsciously want to run away from is our vulnerability. We will bump into little parts of ourselves that are a little soft and a little afraid of certain things sometimes and want to run away. And that usually manifests in a somatic or body experience first, meaning our heart might start racing, our chest might start clenching, our stomach might start doing backflips or something, and we can start to feel really, not relaxed, if you will. If we feel vulnerable, oftentimes something will trigger us, and it could be that we think that the person that we're working with might get a promotion, but we won't. It could be that we suspect our partner is having an affair. It could be that we're not going to get the income that we thought we were going to get because a freelance project or something didn't come through, for example. And so we feel really vulnerable and at risk. I'd also like to invite you to consider this other word, like I said, venerable, which I'll just read from the dictionary. Accorded a great deal of respect, especially because of age, wisdom, or character. So the venerable part in us is that noble, dignified, really sort of wise person that resides in us alongside our vulnerability, that we also can remind ourselves is there. So there's a real opportunity to, when we feel as though there's something happening that doesn't feel quite right and makes us feel anxious and vulnerable, we can also remember, as is often the case in a yoga posture, or if you do meditation, one of the recommendations for meditation is when you sit up, that you sit not too tight and not too loose, and that you just sort of take a dignified or noble seat as a king or a queen of your own body, of your own existence, of your own domain. And you can do this on the subway. You can do this at the dinner table with your kids. You can do this when you are sitting at your office. But that you really sort of assume your place and feel as though you have a real right to be here and that there's purpose in what it is that you're doing. There is a big TED Talk that's out there on power posing and how certain postures can make you actually feel more embodied and powerful. And this is kind of along those lines. It's sort of bringing in the fact that within us, if we are recognizing our venerable qualities, that innate intuitive wisdom that we often tamp down, and that often the vulnerability actually exposes a little bit and is sort of bringing to us for a reason, if we can open to it and listen to a little bit of what that voice seems to be telling us and separate it out a little bit from just a reactive state of childhood conditioning that may be, for example, as soon as you hear a loud voice or people talking in a way that sounds kind of boisterous, maybe you have a real reaction because maybe you grew up in a household that people were physically abusive and used to yell a lot, and that immediately makes you feel very vulnerable, even though in this moment, in the present day, you're actually okay. So one of the ways that we can bring ourselves back to that place of being okay is remembering that while it's true that we may immediately notice a vulnerable feeling if we're triggered in a certain fashion, which is 100% okay, no need to push that away. We can create space for that. That we can also hold within us this inner nobility and this venerability, and we can take our seat. That we can feel as though we have not only a right to exist, but that we have a right to be who we are, and that we have an inner wisdom within us that is shared with everyone else, actually, and that we just need to remind ourselves that while on a relative level we have this vulnerability, we can also hold in the same space our greatest capacities for this deeper wisdom. And it's all right here. We just need to sort of take our time and breathe into it and allow ourselves to feel that we have a right to inhabit some of this space. And it's not narcissism, it's not cockiness, it's actually a sort of sense of humility about the fact that because we hold both of these things, the vulnerability and the venerability, we're just human, and that we all share that, and that we can be connected at this level of seeing that vulnerability in other people while also coming at them with compassion. And so our vulnerability can meet theirs as much as our venerability can meet theirs. So that's my wordplay for the day. I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is WiseGirl. Thanks for watching. Please leave your comments. Love to hear from you.